Okay, boom. And we are live. I want to thank everyone for tuning into a very special edition of Off the Record on the People's Podcast this afternoon. We have a magnificent guest with us today, one who is going to give us some amazing information as well as inspiration, and that is none other than the world-renowned uh, person, first of all, but a activist, historian, and so much more, but a personality on the radio, a visually, and a business owner. But mainly, what we know him for is the commemoration of the remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad Crow working and taking on the mantle from Brother Munir, and that is none other than Brother Mandene Muhammad. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam. So how you doing?
Excellent, sir. This is an honor, and on behalf of myself, my family, and the viewing audience of the People's Podcast, we want to thank you, Brother Mandine, for taking time out of your busy schedule to come have a conversation with us today.
Hey, brother. I'm honored that you even thought about me. You have a way of painting the picture for your guests, but I'm just a soldier in the army of the Lord, man. I'm just a Muslim follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and attempting to just doing a fraction of the work that our dear brother Munir did prior to his transition for the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So I admire the work that you do with the People's Podcast, because you remind me of the shows that we do, and how Brother Munir used to bring everybody on, and I do mean you bring everybody on, brother. And there'll be some great shows, and you've done a lot of them, so you have to be saluted and you have to be supported. So I really appreciate this, and you always I'm at your disposal. Yeah, you have a platform with us whenever you need to get your message out.
All praise due to Allah. It means a lot to myself, sir, and of course my family. I wanted to ask you, Brother Mandine. So October 7th is in 2 days, and this is the birth anniversary of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and that is a very special day to myself and you and many. But why is that an important day for humanity and for society and the community to know October 7th?
Well, that day is recognized as a birth anniversary of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, although he said he didn't really recognize those birth anniversaries. I think he would joke that he didn't know exactly when he was born, but that day that I've been known, that I've been taught that Messenger was born on. So what's important about it, man, is look around, man. Look what the message that came from the messenger, and seeing what's happening in this day and time right now, Brother Joshua. It's important that we look into the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we study him, because I really don't think that even believers, Muslims, we really study him like we should. I mean, with what just happened with, Helene, the Hurricane Helene down there, down south and southeast, and how it's affected 200 plus people, so far, have lost their lives in the type of destruction. And the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was talking about this way back in the 60s, 60s, fall of America. And, and prior to that, it's taught to him by our Lord, Savior, Master Farrakhan Muhammad. And the very fact that, you see the wars and rumors of wars, we've brought up, those of us in the church or even in the mosque, we hear about these rumblings, but I don't really think it really hits home until it hits home.
Yes, sir.
What's happening. I mean, it's getting real out here, but it was always taught to us by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So you talk about what the significance of it is. If we take the time and study what he taught, we wouldn't be surprised about anything that's happened. We'd be prepared. We'd prepare ourselves for what's happening. And shameless plug, I got dear Sister Christine and Brother Reginald, who talk about disaster and survival preparedness with the 10,000 first responders. They'll be my guests tomorrow. But even with that, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad talked about, proper preparation, to get us prepared for these type of things, canning our food and jarring food and getting the things that we need. And, not only the physical aspect of things that we need, but the spiritual foundation to withhold what's coming, because it's not just being prepared physically, like, having the proper clothing and everything like that, but having the proper clothing in our minds as well, because we're going to be faced with something that we've never been faced before, many of us. So we got to be prepared, man. So that's the significance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is that, here's a man that, you know, um, for a fifth grade education, they say down there, you down south, but you're a highly educated young man. But we're talking about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, who was educated, was it 1897?
Yes, sir.
And the
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
1897 in the rural South back then. And what you had back then was, basic. I mean, basic education. See Spot run. Mary had a red dress on. This type of stuff, basic stuff. Not even that, and wasn't even in school for full time. Had to go out and help out on the farm. But here's a man that produced, men and women of renown. And so we have to pay homage to him, man, at every chance we get.
All praises like you teacher, Brother Mandene, and thank you all. And people showing love all around the world. Thank you, Sister Miriam, Alaikum Salam. Thank you, Brother Gregory Muwaki Muhammad, for your kind words as well. Yes, sir. I wanted to ask you now, when you say some of the celebrities that heard the teachings of the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and whether they became celebrities or already celebrities, how important is that for us to know the history of the messenger's impact in entertainment and Hollywood as well, prior to 1975?
Yes, sir. I mean, it was the influence was there. And I mean, even when you look back on like the entertainers during that time, and it's a big difference. The entertainers back then, they tried to look like the Muslims.
Mm.
Some You get some of the Muslims, they try to look like the entertainers nowadays. So we got to be careful, man. We want to show that we have the influence over them and not
Yes, sir.
the other. You know what I'm saying? So when you saw many of those entertainers, but it was even the influence um, that the teachings of the Honorable Black Mama had on the entertainers that did not actually join. But you had in the music, Kool in the Gang, who sung about Whitey H&G Fish. You had Gladys Knight, I think her brother, I know her brother, joined the Nation of Islam. Many of those many of those entertainers, they look presentable. James Brown, James Brown wasn't a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but a strong supporter.
That's right. That's right.
Lee, who actually was what would you consider a traveling minister under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You had no bigger boxing person during that time than Muhammad Ali, and who is an icon now, but they tend to separate him from his leader and teacher. And so that's another reason why, we have to make sure that we get the proper history out. You think about Aretha Franklin, Nancy Wilson. I mean, the brother from I can't the Shy-Lights, I believe. Other groups. It's something that they're eluding me right now.
Yes, sir.
But it's Sonia Sanchez, the great poet. All of Alex Haley, James Baldwin. All of them had, these great men and women. You look on the back of Message to the Black Man, you see a quote from James Baldwin there. You seen there was a quote from Reader's Digest. There was a quote about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But what they didn't have on there is that was actually Alex Haley who that quote, and they wanted to do an interview about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. But the Honorable Elijah Muhammad had told him, and Malcolm was sitting there, and so was John Ali. But they wanted to do a story about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and the messenger told him, you never talk about a man or write a story about a man until it's a period behind the name. So, so that what we ended up getting was, long story short, was an autobiography of Malcolm X, but they really want the messenger. So it's like getting the ugly step cousin, and you really want the pretty one. It's there, but that's some history that we can go into another time. But it's a lot of history and things that we need to look at, and that's the beauty of the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the archives for the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We chronicle that history, and that history was being is continued to be chronicled because you have those facts. Even to the Black Panthers being influenced by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They had the 10-point program on the back of their newspaper. Eldridge Cleaver, all of these people, we get to naming names, man. We can't stop because they either were a Muslim, knew a Muslim, or, was influenced in some shape, form, or fashion. So the influence of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad and the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You try to credit me with being world renowned. That goes to all the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He's world renowned, man. So I mean, the influence that he has. I mean, look, I mean, he's not. No matter what, no matter wherever he is, however people may feel about that, um, he's not in front of us right now. But the influence that he has is you just can't. You can't. Look, that's the fear that I have with a lot of us, not just the younger Muslims, because I mean, a lot of the younger Muslims, I didn't even realize they were born after the Million Man March. And that was almost
That's
25,
right.
20
That's
years
right.
ago. You got you got whole generations. You know what worries me is it was Brother Munir was such a he used to talk about it, he used to keep the TV on all night.
Mm.
So he didn't want to miss anything. So he was always seeing these documentaries and these things. So it was just one I'm sorry, brother. It was just one particular news documentary clip about this Muslim community down in Mississippi.
Mm.
And the significance of this, the older ones were followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but the younger ones, they drifted away. And so they ended up having children. And so those children had no connection with the teachings of the Honorable
Mm.
um, and so that's a fear nowadays with that I have that a lot of the younger people that are coming up, they're not going to have connection to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, and they're not. I've known Muslims who have whole names, Rashid Muhammad, you know, Baz, and they don't even know what their names meant. Man, we got young people like that. You got young people that are committing crimes with holy names, but it's
That's
not
right.
that. Oh, so you talk about the significance again. What does the Quran talk about? Three generations after me, they would not be of me. They were talking about Prophet Muhammad at the time, but we know that's a reflection of our Muhammad, our
That's right.
Elijah Muhammad.
That's right. That's right.
We're looking at this right now, man. There is a strong possibility that we're going to look up, and it's going to be generations of young people with Muslim names with no connection to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad at all, and that should frighten us to death.
You teaching, bro, man. Thank you teaching. Praise be to Allah. And thank you everyone who's watching and showing love all around the world. Brother Kente, walaikum salam, family, and people are showing you love, Brother Mandene. Brother Mandene is a a respectable man and very humble, but I'm going to make sure that we salute him and give him all his credit for taking on such a task. Most Elijah Muhammad said that it was the hardest job ever given to a man is the resurrection of Black people in here in the hills and wilderness of North America. And for you to say, not only you saw what Brother Munir, who we will get a chance to talk to, that's a strong task. And I remember those Farrakhan, people who saying, I'm going to uphold the Star and Crescent, the name Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Everybody doesn't like that. And so for all these years later, for you to say, I'm going to step up and still do that, what inspired you being very close to Brother Munir Muhammad, at seeing like what it takes to run a station, and man, what made you say I want to still take on that task?
Man, I seen miracles before my eyes, man. Not nothing spooky, but with the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, it'll just amplify what you already are. Brother Munir was a natural salesperson. He was a natural person who he was a people person. He never met a and so and multiple things. But once he got to teaching of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, he just took off from there. He went to his family first, and and told them about it. Then he went to whoever who would listen. And so, the significance of a Brother Munir is to see how it didn't matter who you were. There wasn't no big eyes and little U's with Brother Munir. He figured you was either equal or less once he got the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so, but to see, with the shows and with Crow itself, seeing the caliber of people to come through, and he was not a top rank official in the Nation of Islam. He wasn't no celebrity or no person of renown in the community like that. But his tenacity, his beliefs, he used to always talk about going past belief, you know, and he would always say it, but it just kind of went over my head. And it wasn't until later on, even, I know you interviewed Captain Baja, and I interviewed him about a month ago, and he would talk about, you know, knowing, just natural way of life. This is, as we're taught, this is natural to us, second nature. But I heard Messenger Elijah Muhammad say that we have to get out of the um, the state of believing and in the state of knowing. And so it finally clicked what those brothers were talking about when he said, because Brother Munir got that from Brother Minister Farrakhan. That's 1979. Warning to the hypocrites in Detroit. He's gone past belief. It's a of knowledge. So I'm declaring it's a statement of knowledge. Not only is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad last messenger, but I know he's the last messenger. I mean, we got to get into the season, the belief of, not the belief, but the time of knowing and not believing. It's one thing to believe, but to go past belief, that's a whole nother level, man. I don't think we even think about that. And it's a young brother, Professor Leonard McKinnis from the University of Illinois. He's been conducting interviews with the believers over at the mosque. And I recently had an opportunity to interview him myself. And I met him through Sister Saja. Shout out to Sister Saja,
Yes,
who's like, man, your Brother Munir too. She's what you call a natural facilitator. And but this brother, you never know. That's why you got to pay attention to young people. He, the barbershop I used to go to, that was his uncle's barbershop. He used to sweep floors in there, man, when he was young. You see young people, but you really don't pay attention to them. But this man is on stage now, getting ready to do a paper about the Nation of Islam, and the way he's talking about it, he's talking about it just as I just said it. He said he wants to talk about, how Islam, as taught by the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, is a natural way of life for the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. He don't want to necessarily talk about the businesses and things that sort, because you get people who are trying to say, well, do for self, which is true, and we'll talk about that also. But to go past belief into that statement of that knowledge, man, that's a whole nother level. And for this young brother to do his research on the Nation of Islam, and not a superficial, not something that's going denigrate the Honorable Elijah Muhammad or us. I remember when I know I never know what age you are, but you sometimes it's like you can operate in both worlds, Brother Joshua. You're young, and then you post some stuff sometimes like, man, how old is this man? But it was I think it was that Malcolm X documentary, Orlando Bagwell had. This was before social media. But what's significant also about Brother Munir used to have, he used to talk about us in our camcorders, but we got some history with those camcorders though. And we used to always have a camcorder set up inside a crow. So if anybody came there and they wanted to interview Brother Munir, do some interviews there, they would get interviewed too. You got a record, we got a record. So Orlando Bagwell, and those can look it up. He was sanctioned with doing a documentary about Malcolm X. He told Brother Munir, he said, look, they gave me $1 million to do this documentary. I'm not going to lambast the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but it has to be about Malcolm X. But I'm coming here because I know you all have the information. So that was back then, before the social media, before, people, recording you without you knowing and all this type of stuff. So we got him on record. So back then, people would come. I mean, Carl Evans, all these different people. I can't think of the little short Jewish woman who did the book. Everybody was doing these. Professor Michael Lee, Jewish fellow who did the book Ezekiel's Will, used to come on the show often, and he used to come and visit Brother Munir, and I think he visited Brother Minister Farrakhan as well. But these are things that are not talked about. But they coming to do research about who? The Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Here, this little unlearned Georgia-born man who was significant to us. And you see, if we taking him for granted, but the other people not, they understand who he is. So right. These are the people that write books, who not even worrying about getting the money because they know they're gonna be taken care of and their family gonna be taken care of. And he went so far as to have Brother Munir speak at his graduate class, about the history of the Nation of Islam. So man, the message is one of his quotes: "You getting acquainted with God is not like getting acquainted with a common fool." So it's a beautiful thing when you get this knowledge, brother, and you really get into it and understand it, man. It's a beautiful thing, man. I recommend all of us, those of us especially, who say that we believe and understand, we have to revisit the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, not just because it's his birth anniversary or the anniversary of his birth, but because it would save our life. Brother Munir, and when he used to meet with Brother Minister Farrakhan, he would call. I know I would get a phone call, of course, to check in to see if there's any messages at the office or anything. And he would just give me little tidbits. And one thing he would always say, I never had a bad meeting with him. But with this particular meeting, he said he just asked the minister, in one word, how would you best describe the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad? And he said the minister just told him, it's life. What do we describe? Life-giving teachers, man. Life-giving teachers. So if we study this, because we think we okay, we not okay, man. We got to, like they used to say in the church, we got to get back to that old-time religion, man. And that old-time religion, getting back to the basics and learning about the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We got to study the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We got to go back and delve into his books, his writings, his tapes, his CDs, whatever we got, man. I think we have taken it for granted. I think we started to kind of treat him like, you ever familiar with, I don't know if you ever pledged fraternity or anything, they just quote stuff, from the founders and things.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That they get their letters and everything. I don't want us to get into that mindset dealing with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because our very lives are at stake, man. So we can't treat him like he's just some common black leader or just some common person, who just had a little more knowledge than us, man. He was taught directly by God himself for 3.5 years, bro. So that's not lightweight, brother. We got to look at that in a serious manner, and we got to recognize and show and prove about our leader and teacher, man. These are serious times, man, and we're dealing with serious topics. Again, look around and see what's happening, in the world this day and time. I mean, once again, they thought they was going to have to start fighting over toilet tissue again, man.
Facts.
And it's still, the pandemic should have been a wake-up call for us as believers, because, again, it's showing that what we're not doing, man. We have a banner or a poster in Crow. It's a big old huge, showing the accomplishments of the Muslims, showing all that we had under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, the banks, farmland, the businesses, all of that. And it's not just showing, what could have been. It's showing what we can do now. It's a blueprint for what we can have now. And it wasn't just for Muslims. It wasn't just about Muslim followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Because when you mentioned the Muhammad University, I heard a caller call in to a radio show this morning, the Black Radio. And she often tries to plug the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, but she ain't the right person to do it. Right message, wrong messenger, because she just don't have that foundation. So she brought him up. The host, they was like, well, Marva Collins did. I'm like, Marva Collins, yeah, she did it, but we talking about a man that did it in the 60s. We talking about a man who didn't even go to school, making schools, man. And we talking about a man that has produced. We mentioned Muhammad Ali. We mentioned Minister Farrakhan. We mentioned Malcolm X. These are men of they almost stand alone themselves. We have to remind the people, like, hey, they had a teacher now. Don't go too far. They had a teacher, but they're so great that their names stand alone so much. But we got to remind them that they had a teacher. But that's just how great that the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is. And so, but those men weren't the exception. They were the rule. Even when you think about other ministers that were under the Honorable Elijah Muhammad doing things in their own cities. John Muhammad in San Francisco, it's a tape that we have, and I'm bringing him up because of the way he broke it down. Because, when I mentioned the whiting H&G earlier, he was talking about how he had to have a relationship with the Germans who owned the boats, the Peruvians, John Elijah Muhammad, who had to fish, the people who brought it into the dock, talking about the dockers that's on strike right now, right? And so, yes, but he had a relationship with all of these people, being able to bring the fish in to be able to sell it. Now, this was in California, but you got other ministers in their own cities doing things. We're not just talking about number 2 in Chicago. We're talking about ministers all over New York. All of these towns, these ministers were like gods in their own cities, man. So this is a great thing, man. So for And I bring up that the accomplishments and those people that the unobliged Muhammad affected. We think we talk about the Muhammad University of Islam, one of the principals at the time, prior to Sister Beverly Sharif, was Sister Christine Johnson. I said Christine, not Christine Shabazz or Christine Muhammad, Christine Johnson, who wasn't necessarily a Muslim, but she loved her people. Charles Wolford, who was the editor-in-chief of Muhammad Speaks newspaper during a period of time, who wasn't, as he would say, in the tape that we have called Self-Sufficiency, you hear the siren on the outside, it's loud, but messenger trying to get a hospital as well. We'll get into that also. But when we talk about Charles Wolford, who was the editor-in-chief of the Muhammad Speaks at one time, he said in the tape that we have called Self-Sufficiency that, he's not necessarily a Muslim, but he doesn't have any, as he said, religious beliefs, but he loves his people. He said the Honorable Elijah Muhammad doesn't dictate what goes into, he doesn't necessarily dictate, so to speak, as far as what went into the paper. He just wanted to make sure that it was the truth. And he wanted to make sure we had something in it to educate our people. And so that's the significance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. One of the significance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad is going out to getting the best of our people to make sure that we have a wonderful product to present our people. When you listen to like the Theology of Time, and that's another way of hearing these different ministers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Of course, you hear the national representative, Brother Minister Louis Farrakhan, but you heard, Yusef Shah, the assistant minister who met with the Honorable Elijah Muhammad daily for 9 years. You had David Bacha out of Cincinnati, Ohio. You had it was a young minister, 8 years old at the time, who spoke for 10 minutes and spoke strong. You want to know who that minister was? The national assistant minister to Minister Farrakhan, Minister Ishmael Muhammad. We get that type of history at the Coalition for the Remembrance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. We keep people alive, man. So, hey, again, getting acquainted with God is not like getting acquainted with a common food, but I stress again the importance of learning, relearning, and reintroducing yourselves to the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Get to know that man. Dive into what he taught, because it is significant. Then you will learn to love the work that Minister Farrakhan is doing. You will learn to love the work that other people are doing on behalf of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, because you will understand the man that they represent. But in order to understand them, you got to get to the source. And the source is the Honorable Elijah Muhammad.
Teaching, Brother Mandene, per usual, breaking it down. All praises due to Allah. And people are showing you love all around the world. Brother Nelson Ramos, walaikum salam. Brother Nelson Ramos, walaikum salam. Sister Naima Muhammad, thank you very much for tuning in. Brother Kente, thank you very much. Brother Vincent Foley says, walaikum salam, Black Gods. And all praises to Allah. Thank you all very much. Wonderful. We have a brief 60-second commercial break for all of the sponsors of the People's Podcast. We are grateful for every like, share, subscription, and anonymous Cash App all around. Thank you all very much to our anonymous Cash App family. We truly appreciate it. And we're coming right back to our esteemed guest, Brother Mandene Muhammad of Crow, who does an excellent job every time he comes on the People's Podcast. All praises to Allah. Here we go. All right. Sister Naima, Stay On Point Dance Academy. She teaches ballet virtually to young girls all across the country. Sister Miriam, ABC I Love Me children's book and coloring book. My father's book, A Soldier in the Movement of Christ. My two books, Cleopatra, which is a children's book, and No Father, No Excuse, both of which are available on Amazon. All right. 1 second, Brother Mandene, as we wait. And please let us know if you all have any guest suggestions, and put them in the comment. Let us know what city you all are watching from as well. S Enterprise, barber and beauty products, plant-based brush wave. This is going global. They are actually moving to Africa. Kosherwave.com is the website. 770-997-6000. This is Brother Jeffrey Searcy Muhammad, Sister Stephanie Muhammad. S Enterprise, barber and beauty products. This is a plant-based brush and wave. This has got everybody going crazy. Everybody, everybody out there with the 360s like Brother Mandene with your waves. Make sure you reach out and get some plant-based brush wave Coachingwave.com, 770-997-6000. Let's make sure we support S Enterprise. Thank you all very much. We're right back to our guest. Brother Mandene.
Hey, look, let me jump in before you do it. First of all, yeah, you got to hook me up with the brother with the waves. I'm trying to bring him back, man. But look, well, what you doing, man? This is an extension of the work of the teachers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. Muhammad Speaks News. These shows, man. I mean, you giving a platform. The Honorable Elijah Muhammad, true Muhammad Speaks newspaper gave a platform to those that we normally wouldn't hear from. Those that wasn't Muslims. Ben Chavis, Harold Washington. Ben Chavis, had to come back almost 40, 50 years later to thank, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad giving him a platform. Richard Newhouse, all of these different politicians, Ralph Metcalf, it's people here, Chicago locally that you probably would be familiar, kind of young, like John Rogers of Area Investment, Senator Roland Burris, who were in the Muhammad Speaks newspaper that they had either forgotten about or didn't know. But I mean, that type of history though, man. I mean, what you doing now, so you doing these shows, how long you been doing these shows? We'll just say 5 years. We look 10 years. Oh, man. I mean, look at the people, may Allah be pleased, that have made their transition since, man. But this is how you keep people alive, man. When people come in the Crow and they see all the pictures of, they like, where my picture at? First they're like, I don't want my picture taken. But then they come back later like, where my picture at? But I've seen, look, I got pictures of you when you were little, man. I mean, we got pictures. Man, the trips that I've been able to go on, the journeys with Brother Munir, traveling and everything, just those journeys, man, overseas and getting a chance to see the different countries and the people and whatnot, man. It's not just, we weren't going there vacationing, man. We're going there getting that history. Look, when I think about our dear brother Prince Asiel and Brother Munir, I think that was his first major trip. And he went over there to Dimona, Israel, with those brothers and sisters there for the Hebrew Israelites. And he did what he called a spiritual investigation. What did he find out? A lot of those brothers and sisters over there, when the Honorable Elijah Muhammad departed in 1975, and people just went kind of some everywhere. Jim Jones and what happened with that with the Kool-Aid and whatnot. A lot of people don't know. Yeah, those people drunk the Kool-Aid, but what a lot of people don't know, and a lot of those black people were followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. They used to, John Muhammad, I mentioned earlier, from San Francisco, used to run them off the corners over there in Los Angeles and San Francisco. But then when Wallace came in, he allowed him to come in and start speaking. So that's how a lot of the people, ended up over there with him. But and also, so our people were looking for something after the departure of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. And so a lot of those people ended up with the Hebrew Israelite because our people were spiritual by nature. So they wanted something spiritual. So they ended up over there. So that's what he found out. And he found out that those people were doing just as the followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad was doing here. They had, their own schools, their own businesses there. But they were doing it overseas, as opposed to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad doing it here in the belly of the beast and Mr. Hell. He made heaven and earth here, right in the wilderness of North America. So again, that shows the significance and the importance of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. So we celebrate his birth anniversary, not just on Monday, but 364 more days also.
Go ahead, Bro Mandene. Teaching per usual. All praises due to Allah. Thank you very much. And thank you, Sister Dejan, for sending love. And thank you, everyone who's in the comments. Thank you again, Brother Duke, and everyone who continues to show love. My next question for you, sir, is, I wanted to speak about something very personal to me, dealing with Brother Munir. When I called you one day random, but it wasn't that random, but it was random to you. I was speaking with my father, Student Minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad, and he was we were going over some questions for an upcoming interview. And I was like, dang, we always talk about who wasn't around when times got rough and times got hard, but who was there? And my sister Miriam was like, yeah, she keeps a list, and we all, all the 4 children of my mother, we all write down the history. So what was going on when we were too young to pay, we didn't know what was happening. We just know we were struggling. And my father said, Brother Munir of Crow was one of the first people that came to the aid of myself and my family when things got tight. My dad said he didn't have to say anything to him. He already understood to fall from being a supreme captain to now having no post. And what's your resume going to say? That you was with the minister for 20 years, you know what I'm saying? So he understood the financial struggles that we went through as a family. And he said, Brother Munir was always kind to him since then. But he said during our lowest point, it was he who came through with a check to help make sure that the lights can stay on and we can keep fighting for the liberation of our people. And I just wanted to thank and make sure we uplift Brother Munir's name and honor him and show respect on behalf of my family for him stepping up like that, because that was a time period that was low. So
Yeah,
shout out to Brother Munir.
I understand, brother. I mean, and I remember that phone call from you, and it's one thing to say it when nobody else is here, can hear it, but to say it, on this platform like that, man, I know it's humbling for you. It's humbling for me to hear that, because that's the type of brother that Brother Munir was. He'll go to bat for you if he believed in what you was doing. If he was your friend, if he was your brother, he went to war on your behalf, man. And he loved hard, man. When it comes to the unobliged Muhammad, anybody could get it. It didn't matter. You get caught in those crosshairs. It's best you best duck, man. But student minister Sharif was just a good brother, and I didn't know the details of it, but I knew it was a special relationship between the two of them. And whenever we came to when he started the 10,000 Fearless, it was just something different, because we would travel all the time, and we always get treated well, but it was just something different. This is like a third home, man. So
yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That's just how Brother Munir was. It was a lot of people. Even when I do interviews now with people are reminding me of things that he did. Case in point, when I think within the first 2 years of his transition, I was going to a meeting and of a brother that that I inherited through him. You know what I'm saying? Because of those relationships. Just like I wouldn't be dealing with you. This is Drew Brother Munir, being your father, man. So I wouldn't be talking to you right now if it wasn't for the teachers, man. So I'm getting ready to go into this meeting, and I see this brother, and we was talking to somebody I knew, and he was like, man, and for a lot of them, they thought Brother Munir was my father. So, even though I corrected him, but he still say, like, man, your father, man, my son was locked up, way down in like in the southern part of Illinois. It's hard to get down there. And he said, he pulled some strings, man. He made some phone calls, and he got my son up here. He said the warden, the guard told my son. My son told me, he said, I don't know who you know, but you're gonna be transferred tomorrow. Keep your mouth closed, and you're gonna transfer tomorrow. But obviously, you got some friends in high places, man. So this man told me that. So, and that's one of many, man. I mean, many stories of not just getting people jobs and whatnot. There's Negroes running around right now talking about ain't nobody helped them at all. And I remember vividly us taking long car rides down to jails, helping, helping people out, making sure they secure, getting them out of jail, making sure people eat and whatnot, aside from that, of course he would do that for your father. This man sacrifice, man. The song of the church is one of the lyrics. I sacrificed my life for his liberty. We're talking about Jesus, talking about the work of God right now, man. So if he would do that for that man, of course he would do that for other people. I've seen it. Those are the miracles that I'm talking about, man. So, but one thing that Brother Munir would always say when somebody would ask him for something, he would ask, would they do it for me? Clearly, the minister Abdul Sharif Muhammad would do it for him and anybody else. And as I told him, and I told you, when he got the call about 10,000 Fearless, doing it in Atlanta, hell, your father could have been in Wyoming, brother. It would have been the 10,000 Fearless, Wyoming. You know what I'm saying? That's just the type of worker he is, man. So, and you see the fruits of his labor to those young people that he push out. But that's we get it honest, man. I mean, that's what Brother Munir did. He was always referencing movies. He always talk about replacement killers, looking for replacement, man, because we're not gonna live forever, man. Hell, right. I'm this year, man. And I'm looking at you now, even though I still don't know how old you are, but you So I see how you talk about your nieces and nephews. So those are the ones that's coming up after you, man. You got to groom them. You got to groom those young believers that's in the mosque, man. This is what we're incumbent on doing. And again, that is the teachings of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You want for your brother and sister, but you want for yourself, not just your family, your extended family as well. What did they say to Jesus when he was in the temple? Sire, your family is outside. My
My
family
family
is,
is in 10
yeah,
minutes with me. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
that's the work that we doing, man. Praise be to the Lord.
Beautiful. Brother Mandene, you're teaching and people are showing you love. Thank you all, everyone who was watching. Okay, Brother Mandene, we have two more questions because we know you got to get back. I wanted to ask you about, I know this is about the Most High Elijah Muhammad and Savior's Day and that spirit of October 7th, 1897. But we also want to know about the work. Speaking of doing for self and entrepreneurial spirit and being in the community, you have a business. Can you let us know how we can support? First, thank you. We want to make sure that we all support Crow, but how can we support your business as well with the men's boutique? Let us know the location. How can we support?
I appreciate. I'm not online right now, but I mean, it's a men's resale boutique. I do a combination of gently used and new men's clothes and accessories. And so we're
Hmm.
located in Chicago, 107 East 47th Street in Bronzeville. You remember Bronzeville? So it's we're right here, in the heart of Bronzeville. But again, that's all due to the influence of the teachers and Brother Munir in particular. And I got to give credit to my aunt as well because she adopted me and my brother early on when my mother made her transition. So she used to have to take us to the different, as they call it back then, rummage sales and thrift stores and whatnot. And
Hmm.
she was pretty much a single mother, so she had to find a way. So it's not like times have gotten any easier. So I just came up, through a friend, in the spirit of giving during this time. I wanted to start giving back to like young people doing the graduation or luncheon and things of that sort. So I started collecting suits and shoes, and but I was just becoming a collector. I didn't give out anything, but a friend of mine, shout out to Sister Tequila Shabazz, she said you should open up a men's resale boutique. It's not one on the south side. So long story short, through the connections with Brother Lynn and the people that he know, I was able to open up one. But it's due to that influence that Brother Munir, because he used to sell suits. But as he would joke with me, he said, "I don't have no overhead. I sell on my trunk." And
Hmm.
he
Hmm.
sold suits, man. He sold suits. He used to sell women clothes as well. But he was a salesman, man. He was a salesman, and this is taking me out of my comfort zone, um, as far as doing this work, because those that have seen me throughout the years, like your father, they see me in the background, flanking Brother Munir, shadowing him, and just being in the background, as you would understand. And but this has forced me to go out into the forefront. You know, you got no choice, man. So also because of this, VON, I had to call there one. I didn't have to, but I called there one day. Looking for an advertisement for the place. Ended up being a radio host for a year. But I was a broker. I was doing a brokered show, meaning that I had to pay for it, just
Hmm.
as you what you doing now. So we talking about a major radio station, and I would joke. I tell you, I'm doing a brokered show, and the key word is broke because I'm going broke paying for these bills right now. So after I did a year, I brought people on, including yourself, and I
Yes, sir.
actually
Thank you.
with Crystal Kima, who I spoke to, ironically enough, yesterday, and she's back in school, and so she's working on a few teams, and but I did that. That got that experience. I did it for a year. I stepped away, but a couple of people had walked away, stepped away from their evening slot, and they asked me to fill in for a couple of months. And so, it was an honor to be able to technically work for VON for that time, but still, the importance of it, the significance of that for me was being on from 6 to 9. You heard the messenger. You heard the Honorable Elijah Muhammad during that time. I played the Honorable Elijah Muhammad. You was gonna get this work, and that's what I did. I played the messenger, and I still brought people on. I gave a platform to believers that we normally wouldn't hear from, because we have a lot of entrepreneurial and just intelligent Muslim followers of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad that don't get recognition,
Yes, sir.
as and so that's what I did with that radio show. That's what we still do with the television shows. You told me to shout out the store. I got to shout out the shows, man. Munir Muhammad show. If you're in Chicago, we come on literally every day, 7 days a week, 12 and 6 o'clock Central Standard Time on Channel 25, 12 noon. Channel 25 at 9 p.m. on Channel 25, and our signature show, Muhammad and Friends, every Sunday night at 7:30. You can see that because they stream cantv.org, cantv.org. You can see that. But we stream live also every Wednesday at 6 p.m. Central Standard Time and every Sunday at 2:30. So shameless plug again, Sister Christina and her husband, Brother Reginald, will be my guest tomorrow from the 10,000 first responders, of course, talking about what's happening with Hailey and these other disasters and just being prepared for it, man. So, yeah, man, I all praise due to Allah. I'm humbled, but it's all connected, man. It's all connected, and it's a blessing. And being here with you, working with your father, just being around, it's a beautiful thing, man. When you get that understanding, man. And we family, man. This is home, man. I'm happy.
Oh, praise the Lord. Yes, sir. And speaking of being family, Brother Mandene, we just want you to know that we love you at the People's Podcast. Every time
Praise be.
I reference you to my father and my siblings, they always be like, "Oh, Josh, Brother Mandene," and we always just like, "Brother Mandene," because I always show them, something you post on social media and just the
Praise.
work that you're doing. I'm telling you, Brother Mandene, you inspire me. You're somebody who I look up to, and I can't wait to very soon learn how to learn more hands-on in person, inshallah, but being able to travel, like you said, and go and learn. I just want to learn the craft like you do and like you did following Brother Munir, so that man, keep it going.
That's the way Brother Munir was, man. If he heard about somebody, a follower of the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we was on the plane or they was on the road, catching up with those people. So that's when the minister put that call out about that 10,000 fearless, your father, I'm gonna say he was, from my understanding, he was the first one.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
Hear it, and he heard and he obeyed. So when he got things up and running, Brother Munir was right down there. Even before I got there, I don't know who filmed it for him, but he got footage, of the patrol car and the bus and
yes,
the
sir. Yes, sir.
headquarters. And we went down there those Tuesdays and Thursdays when they were giving out the food to the people, feeding the people, and those sisters who went away to Cuba to get medical education to come back and to do. And shout out my sister Alicia, and her family, I mean, these type of relationships that I get through Brother Munir, man, it's a beautiful thing, man. So to be down there at the Blue Seas restaurants and oh man, it's just reminiscent, brother, and it's beautiful, man. It's been, even with all the obstacles, your father just keep moving. We just keep moving because we see the bigger picture, man, and we got, just because it's obstacles coming our way, we still got the blueprint. The blueprint ain't changed. The teachers ain't changed. We just navigate around the boundaries, man. The obstacles and just keep it moving, brother. But
yes,
I mean,
sir.
you talked about earlier about those anonymous donors for the People's Podcast, man. We want this show to keep going now. So no donation is too small or too large. So go ahead and sell the cash app that. You'd be surprised how far that can go.
Yes, sir. Thank you very much, Brother Mandene. And Brother Mandene, I just wanted to say, you say you got a picture of me, and you told me you had a picture of my mom's in there. I got me and my siblings. We are gonna go. We have our word. We're gonna come visit Crow, and I definitely want to see the picture of my mother there. And man, picture of me like when I was younger, because my grandmother was a big fan of Crow with my mother, and we remember going when we were younger, but we didn't know what. We was like a museum or something. We were like, oh, Crow, we going to Crow. We was little kids, you know what I'm saying? My mom was like, no, we're going to Crow. This is the messenger. This is what, you know what I'm saying? So to have that all these years, I said, we got to go. We got to make it our business to come.
Your mom had a pleasant smile. She had a sweet personality, but she was a very soldier now. So she was war ready, man. So, but she was always, husband. It was she was always just family, man. She just a beautiful spirit. And may Allah be pleased. And man, your whole family, brother. I mean, it's that connection, that we have, brother. And amen. We joined at the hip, bro.
Yes, sir. All right. On that positive note, Brother Mandene, this is Joshua Leonard Muhammad signing off of the People's Podcast. We thank you, Brother Mandene. We salute you. Everybody, let's make sure we go to Men's Boutique on
Men's Boutique, but most importantly, go to CROE.org.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir.
That'll make me feel even better.
Yes, sir.
Go there.
Absolutely. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Alaikum salam, my brother.
Thank you all for watching.